It's a LeBron all day.
It's Jordan all day, bro. Do you know who this man played? Do you want me to name a list of players that Jordan has beaten in his career?
I don't know if you want to go this route, but go ahead and throw
Reggie Miller, Patrick Ewing, Karl Malone, John Stockton, Clyde Drexler, Magic Johnson, James Worthy, Gary Payton, Sean Kemp, Charles Barkley, Lonzo Mourning, Glenn Rice. Prevented all those Hall of Famers from getting championships. None of those players I just mentioned don't have one chip when Jordan was in the A. The only guy who got a chip was Hakeem because Jordan was not in the A. He wasn't in the A. He got 2 rings. He wasn't in the A.
Name that list again real quick.
I'm not going to name it twice. You can look at the tapes, man.
Okay.
Look at the tapes. I just named countless Hall of Famers. Countless Hall of Famers. And not one of them has a ring, bro. In Jordan's era, not one.
You just named
one.
You named tier 3 of Hall of Famers. The tier 3 of Hall of Famers.
That's not.
You named John Stockton. You named
John Stockton's arguably the greatest passer of all time.
You go. You got your thing.
He's arguably the greatest passer ever.
Oh, stop it. You got your thing, right? You named Karl Malone, Alonzo Mourning, John Stockton, Gary Payton, Sean Kemp, Reggie Miller. Alonzo Mourning you brought up. That had to be an honorable mention. I don't know why he got brought up.
Yeah.
So let's go to LeBron's competition, right? Shall we? First year he got swept. Tony Parker, Bruce Bowen, who's an outstanding defender, Tim Duncan, 5 rings, Manu Ginobili. Yeah, I said Tony Parker already?
You said Tony Parker.
Okay, so that was his first finals appearance. Next one, he had Jason Terry, Jason Kidd, Tyson Chandler, Dirk Nowitzki, J.J. Bryant killed him in that series. So 3 Hall of Famers, right? So we'll go 3 Hall of Famers on the Mavericks. JT, Dirk, and Kidd. Because JT's top 3 in shooting most threes of all time. He's a Hall of Famer. He's one of the best shooters of all time. And then you'll go Tim Duncan, Tony Parker, and Manu Ginobili all Hall of Famers. So that's 6 right there, right? Then we'll go from there. He beats the Thunder. Russell Westbrook's an MVP. James Harden's an MVP. Kevin Durant is a Finals MVP. Has hardware. Then the year after that, they lose to they beat the Thunder. Then they beat the Spurs because they went back to back, right?
And then they lost.
Then you had the same Hall of Famers there, not going to go. Then they lost to the Spurs after that. And now we'll go head towards the Golden State area, right? Steph Curry, best point guard ever to breathe. Best shooting point guard ever to breathe. Klay Thompson, Hall of Famer. I'm not gonna, you know how I feel about Draymond, so I'm not gonna give it to you. But he'll make it. He'll make it to the Hall, right? Andre Iguodala, Sean Livingston was a baller for those teams. Let's not forget the year after that, they brought over KD. That squad was stacked.
But you're mentioning guys like that, which
guys you mentioned.
But
all the guys you mentioned in Hall of Famers, they are.
But you're mentioning but you're acting like some of these teams like back then didn't have like benches. You know what I mean? Like,
but you're acting like the players you mentioned are even in the same gasp, in the same area code as the players LeBron faced. They're not. They are not. John Stockton, bro, stop it. Stop it. I love John Stockton, great for his time, but you're comparing him to a modern day point guard. Like, what are we absolutely talking about?
Well, here's the thing with that. So, John Stockton, if you're going to compare anyone in the modern day, he's like Chris Paul.
Oh,
he's like a Chris Paul with less handles. With less handles. He's like a Chris Paul.
Nothing like Chris Paul.
He's like a Chris Paul with less handles.
Nothing like Chris Paul.
I'm not saying he's exactly like Chris Paul, but he does have a lot of similar passing, shooting.
Who's a better shooter?
Man, that's tough.
How is that tough? John Stockton.
I mean, John Stockton was a laser shot.
All of his highlights.
He was a laser.
John Stockton was a great on-ball defender. He led the league in steals on numerous occasions. John Stockton was a baller, right? But you stack him up to Russell Westbrook, I'm taking Russell. You stack him up to CP3, I'm taking CP3. You stack him up against Derrick Rose, I'm taking Derrick Rose.
But that's just because he's a smaller and unathletic point guard.
No, because the basketball
that's not his role.
Was different back then. Jordan.
Exactly. It was more physical as well, if you want to get into that.
Physical.
Talk to me, baby. Talk to me nice. I'm from another world, baby, yeah. Broadway paradise. They think I'm way too cold, cause I put my heart